It was a very energizing win for our team, much needed win from where we're at in our season. I know our players and coaches made a commitment for the second half of the season to start it with a clean slate and treat this thing as a new season. And the players really bought into that, not only in the game, but starting the entire week in practice. We had physical practices. There was great energy during practices, and the kids prepared, and the results showed in the game. Very resilient effort by them, being down twice by 14, being in some bleak situations in the overtime settings. When we fumbled on the 1 yard line, they're lining up to kick a game winner. We iced the kicker, he missed, so we did get some second opportunities in that game, but the kids were never fazed. They kept competing all the way to the end, and there was some outstanding individual efforts as well. Offensively, we wanted to run the ball efficiently. If you take out the two kneel downs, we knelt down at the end of the half, and we also knelt down before overtime. If you take those two out, we averaged 4.5, which is our goal every week, 159 yards rushing. So we did have efficient runs, which led to efficient play-action passes and some shots down the field. I thought Ryan Metz was outstanding. His second opportunity to start this year, and he's played outstanding both games. He was 65% completion percentage, 15 to 23, 211 yards, 3 touchdowns, but more importantly, he took care of the football, no interceptions. Really, I felt throughout the entire game he only made one off decision as far as stepping up in the pocket. The pocket was clean for the most part the entire night. He only took 1 sack and really didn't get hit often at all versus a team that had led Conference USA in quarterback hits. In particular, 93, I thought the offensive line and the tackles in particular did a great job of shutting him down. He had no quarterback hits and only 3 tackles, and he's a dynamic player. Having Jerome Daniels and John De La Rosa healthy together for the first time, 2 senior leader tackles, really helped that cause. I really felt the line was solidified in that game. Aaron Jones had an outstanding game, 113 yards rushing, 5.4 per clip, and 1 touchdown run. We also did great things in the passing game, 4 receptions for 56 yards, 2 touchdowns, and both of his catches on those rail routes were outstanding. Walter Dawn, who was captain of the week, he'll carry out the pickaxe representing UTEP against Old Dominion for our homecoming game. He had 4 carries for 38 yards, 9.5 average, 2 touchdowns, and he also had 1 reception for 74 yards and 1 touchdown. He's a young man that we've been really trying to groom along to get him on the field. We felt that he was ready to go. A lot of times it takes about that amount of time for a true freshman to understand the offense and get out there. He really gives us a dynamic spark, and I think he's going to be fun to watch for the Miner fans for the next 4 years, and what a great kid he is. Hayden Plinke had an outstanding game. He had 4 catches. We really want to get the tight ends involved. He did a great job, 84 yards, 64 of those were after contact. This guy runs physical. He also caught the 2-point conversion that kept the game alive heading into the 5th overtime, and he also had a very critical fumble recovery when we put the ball on the ground in one of the overtimes. The game would have been over at that point, so he was heads up on that play, and then also Kent Taylor did a nice job at tight end as well. And as I mentioned, the offensive line, I thought they played their best game of the year, opened up some lanes in the run game, especially after the first 2 series, and then did a nice job and protection. Overall, we're good on third downs. Our goal is 45%. We were at 46, 6 of 13, okay, because we were inefficient third downs, manageable for the most part. 3 for 5 red zone touchdowns, 60%, and got some field goals there. The thing that I noticed after the game, one of the things we challenged the team about before the game was taking El Paso on the road. We really have a lot of players. We counted 14 in our 2 deep from El Paso. This is the production they had. Metz had 211 yards, 3 touchdowns. Jones, 169 total yards, 3 touchdowns. Warren Reddick's 2 catches and the game winner on an unbelievable catch at the end of the game. Eddie Senegal, 2 catches. Cole Freitag, 1 catch. Kavika Johnson had a throw for a 74-yard touchdown to Don. And then even Brandon Moss drew a pass interference penalty that probably, if the ball was thrown a little bit farther, would have been a touchdown for him. So the El Paso kids really did a great job of representing the city. We took shots. We talked about taking more shots down the field. We talked about explosive plays. Our goal is 10 explosive plays per game. We achieved that. We had 10 explosives in that game, and usually that tilts in our favor if we do that. The negative of the game that I can see is the ball's on the ground. Still, we need to attack ball security in practice. We put 3 on the ground. Fortunately for us, we got 2 of them back, but one could have been a very critical one that we overcame the fumble on the 1-yard line. And then the first quarter, the first 2 series we started slow, had some 3 and outs, and in the fourth quarter, I think both defenses were playing outstanding in the fourth quarter. We had some 3 and outs in that situation in some poor field position. But all in all, I think it was our second most productive offensive day. I like the fact that we got some shot opportunities down the field, and I thought the quarterback play was outstanding from Ryan Metz. Defensively, we got an interception from Deshaun Smith, and it was really at a key moment in the game. They had the ball on our 40 at the end of the game, and he came up big, played the ball outstanding, made a play. He also played well at safety, had a bunch of tackles in that game. We did have 2 sacks on the quarterback. Usher had a sack, and then a combination sack between Silas Fursley and Dante LaViolette. We also had 7 tackles for losses, but most of those showed up in the fourth quarter when we needed them. And Coach Mason dialed up some pressures in those situations, and the guys hit home on those pressures. We held them scoreless in the fourth quarter and only in 2 field goal attempts in overtime. So even though they generated a lot of yardage and got up on us twice in that game, I think when it really counted and really mattered, I think the defense stepped up, and they were a tired defense. You know, they played 93 snaps, and to suck it up in those situations and continue to play hard in overtime, I thought they did an outstanding job. I felt there was too many explosive plays given up, in particular the run game, other than really one pass in the first quarter where Cockrell got his feet tangled up. He ended up actually falling where the guy looked like he was wide open, which he was. The safety fell down on that. Other than that, I thought they limited the pass explosive plays very well during the game. I thought the corners, again, have done a nice job for us in that situation. There are some things to clean up, but again, I really feel when the game was on the line, I thought the defense stood up. Some guys that played individually well, Soda probably had his best game as a defensive lineman for us, his best graded game. Devin Cockrell had 10 tackles. And the other thing, Devin Cockrell played close to 90 snaps on defense, but he also plays about another 25 snaps on special teams. He's a 4-core special teams guy for us. He was top gun again. That's 6 to 7 games that Devin Cockrell's been top gun. That hasn't been done since L.A. Dowell, and L.A. Dowell is one of the best special teams players I've ever seen in college. So Devin Cockrell's picked up that slack for him. So he would be the top gun player of the week. And then it was nice to get Kaylon Beverly back in there. He rotated in. I think it gives us a good 3-cornerback rotation with Justin Rogers and Nick Needham, and he had some physical tackles in there as well. Special teams, I thought Luna had a big night. We were backed up a few times, in particular fourth quarter, and there's a big difference between starting on the -40 and starting at the 50 or +40, and he had some booming punts there. He had a 46.3 average, but more importantly, the coverage was good. He had a 40.7 net. Our goal's 38. He exceeded that. Terry Janelle, again, I thought he fielded the punts well. He didn't get any big returns, but again, the number one thing is fielding the punt. Make sure you got that ball in your hands when the offense takes the field, and minus really one decision early in the Texas game, he's been outstanding fielding punts and making the right decisions, and he'll get his opportunities to return some. Kickoff return, that was below our standards. I thought that was a poor decision to take one out from 6 to 7 yards deep. There's got to be better communication on that from the off guy, and we ended up starting at the 2-yard line. So that really put us in a bad situation, and then we had a personal foul, which really was an entire retaliation deal. And we got to know, they're going to catch the second guy. If somebody takes a swing or somebody gives a shove, the second guy always gets caught, and that ended up happening for us. So the field position after kickoffs was not what we wanted. Kickoff cover I thought was outstanding. Maddox usually booms him out of the end zone, but he only had 1 touchback in this game, but the coverage was great. We had 1 tackle inside the 15 with Brennan Royal, and then they didn't cross the 25. They only had a 19-yard average, so I thought the kickoff cover team was flying down. PAT field goal was 100% operation, and then PAT field goal block, even though we didn't get a block, we put good pressure on the kicker. He had to pull a couple, and he missed 3 field goals, and he was an outstanding kicker. He hadn't missed a field goal going into the game, so the pressure there was good. And again, that last one in overtime allowed the game to extend. We iced them, and when you got a couple under your belt, that kind of plays into your head. And I thought the PAT field goal block did a good job on that. We did give up a fake. A guy lost his eyes on his man coverage on PAT field goal block, and that's on film. All right, so we own that, and we got to make sure we get that corrected moving forward. But I think if I could describe the game in one way, I think the kids just refused to lose. You know, much like myself, you know, they were disappointed in the first half of the season. They were very disappointed where our record was, but they're also fighters, and they fought back, There were so many instances in that game where it could have went the other way, and they just refused to let that happen. And I was very proud of the team. I wish you could have seen them in the locker room after the game. I've never seen a team that energized. You know, they looked like they just won the Super Bowl. And they were jumping up and down, hugging each other, dancing. And, you know, from a coach's standpoint, that's why I coach. Those are the moments of enjoyment that you get out of this thing. And I was very happy for the players. And those type of games, when you win a game like that, can go a long way from an energy standpoint. And we need to have that carry into this game for our homecoming game this week against Old Dominion. We know the weather's going to be perfect. And I'm hoping that the Miner fans, even though the first half of the season was a struggle, they need to know that these kids are committed to making the second half of the season a special season for the Miner fans, and I hope they all come out in full force and support the kids. Moving forward to Old Dominion, they're a 4-3 team. They're 2-1 in Conference USA play. They had a tough go of it last week against Western Kentucky, a very good Western Kentucky team, but they beat UTSA, they beat Charlotte, beaten UMass, and then they beat an FCS school. Their losses come against good teams. Appalachian State, who's close to being ranked. North Carolina State is also an outstanding team in Western Kentucky. So they're 4-3. The record is what it says. Offensively, they've always been good on offense. They're 5th in Conference USA, 32 points a game. They're running the ball better than they ever have. They got 2 outstanding backs. I always thought Lowry, number 33, was an outstanding back. He was freshman all-conference and all-conference last year. But this kid, 35, Cox, who's about the same size, he's got 10 touchdowns for him. He actually has more yardage than Lowry. Both those guys average close to 6 yards a carry, which is outstanding for backs. This will be the biggest group of receivers that we'll face throughout the entire year. We've seen these guys for the last couple of years. Number 6, Pascal, he's 6'2", 214. He leads their team in receptions. Durhart, he's 6'3", 221. And then number 7, he's 6'3", 214. They put them all in the field at the same time. These are big physical receivers, and we got to be on our screws as far as coverage-wise. They're a very experienced team. They returned 17 starters. So they're a senior-laden team. Their quarterback is extremely athletic. He was injured last year. He faced us last year. I thought he was outstanding last year, and he's a big guy. He's 6'3", 210. He can run. He can zip it. He's got 14 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So, again, we're facing another senior quarterback that's really playing well for them. And then up front, I think their center was all-conference freshman last year for them, and that's the only spot that they replaced a couple guys is the offensive line. Defensively, I think they've made a big jump. They've moved into the upper pack of Conference USA in every category. Points per game, they're 6th. They're not giving up a ton of yards rushing. They're 5th in Conference USA, and they're 4th in overall defense in Conference USA. They've been good on third downs on defense. They're 3rd in Conference USA in third downs. But here's where they're really good. They've been generating sacks. They have 19 sacks. They're 3rd in Conference USA, and they're number 1 in turnovers forced. They've forced 7 fumbles, 7 interceptions. In particular, they're getting their production from their front line, their defensive ends who are seniors, and their linebackers who are also seniors. They're number 47. He leads their team in tackles, close to leading Conference USA. He's got 60 tackles, TJ Ricks. Their other linebacker, Wilson, is 2nd on the team in tackles, but he leads them in tackles for losses, sacks, and pass breakups. So they're getting production from those 2 linebackers. And they have a very big, physical defensive line. Their nose guard is 6'6", 310. Their defensive end, Rotimi, is about 6'4", 280. He's making a lot of splash plays behind the line of scrimmage. And this other guy, 98, I can't pronounce his, begins with an X. If it begins with an X, it's usually hard to pronounce. But he's making a lot of plays for him too, okay? And then their free safety's got really good ball skills. He's got 7 pass breakups, making a bunch of tackles. So they're playing well on defense, minus the game last week against Western Kentucky. They got some good athletes, and you look down their roster, all the returning starters on defense, I think they only lose 2 on defense from last year. Special teams, probably their strongest unit is their punt return unit. Number 80, Brown, freshman. He's averaging 12.8. He's 2nd in Conference USA. Their punt team, they have a freshman punter. Their kickoff cover team has been solid for them. And kickoff return, this number 4, he's a solid returner for them as well. They lost their kicker. I thought last year their kicker was outstanding. He's a guy that could hit the front line. They had many onside kicks opportunities. He ended up getting hurt earlier in the year, so they have a new kicker in there. So they've had some field goals blocked. They've actually had 3 field goals blocked, and then they've had 1 punt block. So something that we really want to focus in on and try to take advantage of this week. But very good team. We've had very good battles against this team the past few years. They came to El Paso. We beat them 2 years ago. Last year we went up there to Virginia, and they beat us. Very talented team, very veteran team, and they got the right ingredients in the right spots. We're going to have to play our best to beat them, and we're going to break out the old school minor decals, and we're going to try to go a little old school on this game. So the kids always get excited for that. They get excited for homecoming, and they're looking forward to play well in front of the minor fans. Any questions?
Coach, can this be kind of a signature win for your time here?
Excuse me. It was a great win, but we're 2-5 right now. We're very realistic as far as where we're at. I think we can build on it. I think the energy and excitement can carry over from week to week. It's just like anything. Confidence breeds confidence. And the kids were very confident after that win. They're very excited. And they really believe in themselves. And I believe in them. And they're not going to tank it. They're not going to quit. They're going to keep fighting. And that game can go a long ways for that. But probably I can't answer that until the end of the year if that was a signature win.
That trick play late in the third quarter, you were looking for energy. Do you think that kind of just sparked not only on the sidelines but your defense, the way that they played in the fourth quarter as well?
Yeah, anytime, you get an explosive play like that. And, it was a great throw by Kavika. Walter Dawn probably made half their defense miss and then took it to the house. The excitement on the sidelines, I wish you could see the sideline copies from the film of our guys just going nuts and jumping up and down. And, it does create energy. And I think that energy carried over to both sides of the ball. Saw a lot of great energy on the sidelines, offense up there, rooting for the defense around the field and vice versa. And at the end of the game, it was an explosion when they announced, that Warren secured that catch. And really was proud of the team's energy. And that's how we got to play. And that's how you got to play all the time. And as I mentioned last week, that's the thing that was lacking the first part of the season was energy. Energy is created from within, and energy is created from competitiveness. And I think the players created their own energy by having a great week of practice.
Coach, not only did you take shots down the field, it seemed like Coach Peace really pulled out the old Boise State trick playbook quite a bit.
Yeah, I thought the offensive game plan was outstanding, but more importantly, it was executed well. And, it all starts with the run game. If you can run the ball efficiently, it sets up all those play-action shots down the field. And then Ryan was very accurate, 65%. That's our goal for the quarterback. So I thought the offense moved the ball extremely well, minus those first 2 series. We got to start faster, but, again, very resilient. Came down from 14-point deficits twice. And that's the second year in a row Metz has done that. He did it last year against New Mexico State. Ryan has really come a long ways as a quarterback. And, I think it was posed a question to me, how come he hasn't been in there all along? He had to go through a growing process. And very proud of this kid. This kid, has been, backup. He's been put in tough situations as a freshman. He's very resilient. His teammates love him. They love this guy. And they rally around him. And he has really come a million miles. I really think Coach P's done a great job with him with pocket presence, maintaining the pocket, not just scrambling out. And Ryan's going to get better and better. And he's the leader of our team right now. It's his team, and he's doing a great job with it.
Talk about practice. The last week that you said you were hoping to amplify energy and physicality. Talk about how big that has a good impact on the games you have seen moving forward.
Well, we went live most of the time in practice, and especially in areas where we were deficient, third downs, red zone. We did live periods to simulate the speed. And the kids came out and they were energetic about it. They wanted it. They wanted to go live and they wanted to get physical. And they did in practice, and it carried over to the game. We'll continue to do that, and we got to practice smart. As always, we never want to get a guy injured in practice. But we came out of this game in good health, and it was exciting to see, guys that have been banged up like Aaron Jones, Alvin Jones, De La Rosa, Daniels, to see them after the game being healthy. I think moving forward, we keep that crew healthy. We can take this thing one game at a time.
Can you elaborate a little bit more on the locker room after the game? We weren't there, but just to talk about what you talked to the kids about and just their reactions.
Well, number one, that was their moment. I just told them I was very proud of them. Told them the same things I'm telling you: their resiliency, their toughness. and told them the reason you won this game is the work you put in between Tuesday and Saturday, not because of what you did Saturday night. But the energy in there was unbelievable. And in fact, I don't know if I've ever been a part of going into a locker room and seeing kids that excited. And you think about it, it'll be a long time if they're going to look back and this, say they played in a 5 overtime game and just kept fighting back. Really, no team should have lost that game. UT San Antonio shouldn't have lost. If we lost that game, we shouldn't have lost. It was just one of those type of games, and both teams should be very proud of how they played. We just had a little bit more in the tank at the end than they did.
Coach, Dove and Wadley didn't get any carries, I noticed. Are you going to kind of go to a situation where Dawn and Senegal kind of on the jet sweep become your alternate to Jones on the run game?
Not necessarily. I think Wadley and Dove can bring a lot. Brent, it was just one of those games. Aaron Jones was running well. He was healthy. We didn't have a ton of plays, and so really there was no need to go to it. If Aaron Jones, he had 21 carries. If it was a situation where he was more than that, we would have went to Wadley and Dove for a series or so, and that's what their job's going to be. They're going to get limited carries and try to be successful with that, but it just played out that way. It wasn't intentional that those guys didn't get any reps, and you come into this game, they might get a series or two, they may even get even more.
Looking at Old Dominion, took it on the chin that first half against Western Kentucky. Is there something maybe you've seen that you can take advantage of, or what did you see that they struggled with against Western Kentucky, particularly in that first half?
Well, Western Kentucky really jumped on them fast. Western Kentucky is an explosive offense, and they got on them fast. But really, minus that game, they played outstanding on defense. So we know the type of caliber players they have. We know that they're going to be, their coach is outstanding, Bobby Wilder, good friend, really good coach. He's going to have those guys prepared coming into El Paso. But right now we're in the process of game planning, looking at the things that we can try to take advantage of. We're going to try to execute it well during practice this week. And ultimately, we got to go out and play with energy like we did last week.
Noticed Long moved to the bench. Are you going to go with De La Rosa and Daniels now and Long on the bench?
Well, the goal was to rotate those guys, and Greg got a little overwhelmed early in the game. That happens when you're a young player. But again, having 2 senior healthy tackles, and John went in there and played outstanding. Jerome probably had his best game. What it does give us is a real strong 3-tackle rotation. I feel a lot better about that moving forward.
Metz's most impressive numbers in my mind were his third down numbers and ability to extend those drives. Talk about the confidence and just allowing him, and especially in overtime, allowing him to throw the ball and make plays like that. Is that confidence level kind of the highest it's been with Ryan Metz?
Oh, yeah. We're extremely confident in Ryan. He's very accurate, and where he's grown the most is pocket presence. And if you're at practice, you see him, Coach Pease is putting those guys through footwork drills, escape lanes, those type things. And he doesn't panic in the pocket. He stands in there. You've seen a couple times. He would stand in there until the last possible second. The one pass to Plinky that Plinky broke up. He took a shot, and Ryan's very tough. And he's really got a quarterback demeanor and presence, and it's been developed, and now it's his time. And he has his time right now, and I know he's taking full advantage of it. But the thing that I see from a head coach's standpoint, the team rallies around this guy. They love playing for him. They love his energy. It's sincere, and what a great kid.
And speaking of Metz, he throws it to Plinky more than the other quarterbacks did. Is that something about him? Does he look for Plinky more than they did?
Well, we had a lot of things designed to get to the tight ends, but sure, there's always a connection. You have to have that connection with the guy. You may take one team that has a specific quarterback in there, and the same guy's not targeted every time, and you put a different quarterback in there, and they just develop a connection. I always think of the Cowboys when Romo's in there, him and Witten, they just have a connection together. Ryan's done a good job getting the ball to the tight ends, but the thing that he does a great job is he goes through his progression. And when he goes through his progression, he usually makes the right reads, and he's been very accurate with the ball. I really can only think of one ball in that game that kind of got away from him. It was on the over route that Plinky kind of was a high ball. Other than that, he was extremely accurate. He had a couple drops that would have made his numbers even better.
I know every game Old Dominion's been doing that circle of unity thing with the other team. Are you going to do that if they want to?
I'll talk to Bobby about that, and he and I again are good friends, and from my standpoint, I want to honor the flag of the United States and do whatever we can to show unity with our team. I respect the national anthem. You're never going to see me kneel during the national anthem. But I'll talk to him and see what we can do to show a unified front, but that'll be later in the week. Anybody got any questions? Thank you.